many years ago, when I was first a mom and had kids at home, I was doing everything. I was doing the laundry, the cooking, the cleaning. And I had a friend of mine say, you know, Heather, it's the lazy mom who does all the work. I thought, what does that even mean? She said, you know, on the outset, it's easier to do all the work for the kids than it is to take the time to train them. But over time, if you give up that space, you'll be able to train them so they'll take it on for you. So that was an epiphany for me. And I'm wondering what kind of ways you all have used in your home and your family to help your kids begin to embrace more of the roles and responsibilities at home.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. For me, as a Latino mama, it has been a very interesting journey for me because as a Hispanic mom, we want to take care of our children. We want to do everything for them. And in my case, abuelita, grandma, is living with us too. So my kids get mom and grandma. So it was a very hard thing for me to understand until my husband said to me, this is not going to work. They need to take care of things. They need to be trained to do chores. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm the mom. But then I say to my husband, take over because I don't know how to train them. He's the military style type of dad. So you know, I support you. And it was interesting. We started training them to do laundry, to clean the bathroom, to clean the room, to vacuum. And so my kids were like, is this like, it feels like a children abuse here is happening. So they were very like confused. And it was funny because they're starting to negotiate. Can we do like the Americans that they get paid when they do chores? We're like, no, that's not happening. So it has been an interesting journey, but I understand what you're saying now because now that they are teenagers and now that I work full time and we do school at home, guess what? They are busy doing their chores. They have a time. They are already in the system. And I'm so thankful that my husband told me this is not going to work in this household.
I love that, Kareen. I totally resonate with what you're saying. I had an only child for about 7 years. People don't believe that. It was because we had one child and it was almost 4 years before we had another. And then it takes about 3 years or so for the second child to catch up with the first one to even be a playmate. So I would dare say I had an only child for 7 years. Now we have a family of 7 children and we're a family of 9. But during that time where I had my only, I did most of the work. She went to school and I thought for her, I just literally wanted her to focus in on her sports and her academics, and I did everything. And, you know, when she began homeschooling, coming home, I remember just like it was yesterday, the day I said, well, get your own spaghetti. She was like, get your own spaghetti. And I'm just so excited because you can train your children to take personal responsibility for their life, for their needs, for all of the things that you need them to do, just like what you guys have already shared. And one of the things that it has helped me do as a mother is to do something what I call as wait. Wait. You think about how to spell wait. Why am I talking? Why am I talking? Because a child can think and they get a lot of their cognitive skills. When I ask my children, what do you think about this? How would you solve this problem? And that's an opportunity for them to think. And it's exciting now to see them grow into new situations and take on new challenges because I know that I might have covered that already with them. And then I know and I watch how they take on and they respond to the things that I know that they have learned. And also I want to say something about anger. And I think sometimes that ties in with being the lazy mom and with no disrespect, but sometimes it's easier to yell or to get angry with your children. And really you're angry with yourself because they only know what you have taught them. And so one of the things that we hold back in our home is we hold back anger. In fact, we even have a game that if you raise your voice, you owe $1. If the other person raises their voice, they owe $1. Because usually when you're raising your voice, it's because of something that you're irritated about that you have not trained the child on. And so we're really, really excited about this opportunity, this new opportunity. Now that we're closed in, we're finding new things that we haven't talked about. We have no place to go, right? And it's an opportunity for us all to grow and for us all to get better at what we're trying to do during this pandemic season.
Well, I love that. I love that, Lanissa. And let me first say that I am encouraged because there obviously is hope for me. I too have a large family. Okay, you're party of 9. I am party of 8. So of course, I'm sure you can relate to the laundry. Okay.
Yes.
Laundry over here is a serious situation. So let me just put this in perspective. By day 1, we have 8 outfits. Midweek, we're at 24 outfits.
Yes, ma'am.
End of the week, we're at 54, 56 outfits.
Yes, ma'am.
So, an outfit just being one thing, but of course you have pants and shirts. So now you're at 112. So if I let the laundry go all week, we're at 112 items of clothing. And so that's a huge task so we have, gotten the kids involved. So we have laundry days twice a week. And so the kids, we just do laundry twice a week and it all goes in the room. It fills basically half the room, all 8 of us. And so it's all hands on deck twice a week. And we just start folding and it takes probably a solid hour to 2 hours with all hands on deck. But it has been the most effective and it's beautiful to watch my kids, even the 5-year-old. The youngest is 5 at this point. The oldest is 17. The 17 and 13 still grumble a little bit, but they are still actively participating. And this is the biggest, I think this is the biggest gift that I have given to them actually to participate in, because of course it's helping them to become adults and to become independent and actually learn how to, take care of themselves and be responsible. So that is actually how I have taken off my lazy hat and passed the torch in terms of helping them to be functional adults.
I love it.
And over the Somervilles, I'm ready to have them. I wonder about all the socks, because for us, I feel like every pile, there's like 3 or 4 that don't match, and like where did it go? But then it adds up. So I'm not kidding. I probably easily have at least 25 that don't have their pair. But I want to get rid of them because some of them are like the good socks, and I'm like, where did they go?
And I'm trying to figure out who eats them.
Yeah, but I mean, I look behind the washer. It's the strangest thing. So we do the purple cards. We're all home now, so the kids have a little purple card that they do, and it's been going for a couple weeks, and it's fantastic. At 3:00, they just know. They all gather together. They get a little dry erase marker, and they're laminated. They wanted to color them in and laminate them, so that was their part. And then they go through and they clean up the main level. The 2 little ones dust. The older one, very grumbly, does run the vacuum. And we spruce it up before we get to sit down to dinner. So it's really nice. We invited ourselves as guests, and I was like, hey, how can I expand this further? So, being a Korean mother, I really was cooking everything a minute. And what that means is like they had a hot, fresh meal every night, all the nights. So they were a little spoiled, kind of used to that. And I always took care of things. But, now it's sort of, I don't have the time to do all those things. So I did take the time to show them, this is how you turn on the stove and boil water. So, they made their first macaroni and cheese last week. It was a bit of a mess, little crumbs of macaroni, and the dog liked it. And same for using the toaster oven. They like quesadillas, and I used to make those too, but guess what? They can figure this out. So they're so interested. So they know to wash their hands. They can make quesadillas, and it's a life skill. I mean, eventually they won't live with me forever. And so they're going to need to know how to make their own food. So, I saw how they did it, and they got plates out, and they were all proud of themselves. So that was a really exciting moment. And they can make the quesadillas and mac and cheese next week too.
That is awesome. Like I said at the beginning, I always learn so much from you all when I listen to you. We have 5 children, and we sort of have 2 crops. We have our 3 oldest bio kids, who are 25, 23, and 19. And then we adopted 2 little ones from Ethiopia about 9.5 years ago, and they're 14 and 10. So there's nothing like having older kids to help you stay accountable, to keep the good training up with your younger kids. So with our older kids, I learned a couple of techniques from a good friend of mine. One was meal mates, and the other was zoning. So a meal mate was for breakfast and lunch. With the kids, we planned who was going to rotate, who was going to be breakfast meal mate, who was going to be lunch meal mate. And Mealmate made the food, and they cleaned up everything, and then they were completely off for the next meal. And then the other was zoning. So zoning is similar to what you said, Sandra, where we just say, okay, you're going to zone the living room, you're going to zone the parlor, you're going to zone the family room. And they were taught over time what that looked like, what it means to zone, and so everything was tidy. But I have to be honest and say that with my second crop of kids, I've gotten kind of lazy again sometimes, because I wasn't working full time when I homeschooled my first three. So I'm finding I'm needing to speak to myself, because my big kids will say, what happened to zoning? This place is a mess. So it's really been great to kind of have that accountability to go back into that training. And my husband always says, you can't expect what you don't inspect. And I think that goes back to what Lanissa was saying too, about how irritated we can be. But it might be that it's just because, like she said, we're not offering the training and expecting and inspecting what we're expecting. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all those great ideas. And I feel encouraged. I'm going to go back to getting that zoning done, and our house will be a much better off for the sake of it. Thanks all.